Old paint, old models, and an old man in the rain. While this may not be the worst Space Marine in the world, it's certainly the worst one that I've ever painted. The year was 1992, I was growing my hair long and listening to Nirvana. I was the coolest kid in my bedroom. I came across this guy in a not so local hobby shop. Warhammer stores weren't as common back then, you had to rely on hobby shops to carry these Warhammer minis, and even then it was potluck what was available. But I found this guy. The price of this miniature back then was £3. Adjusted for inflation, that works out at about £6 in today's money. So not too bad compared to what they currently cost today. We'll leave that to soak for a few hours and take the dog for a walk. Let's get naked. Remove all this paint. When I was young, base coats and model prep were optional, so I didn't take that option. One thick layer of paint should hide these mould lines anyway. Have you ever had a bath of a Space Marine? I bet they don't have the plug end. That's cleaned up pretty well, just a few more stubborn bits left to remove. And so here we are over 20 years later, removing that paint that I lovely applied whilst listening to Smells Like Teen Spirit. With a paint stripper and water doing most of the hard work, we can remove the last of this stubborn paint, and finally those mould lines. Who breaks their banner pole? I'm hoping with a bit of straightening and a little bit more super glue, and once sanded down we won't see the join. I could use milliput and green stuff, but hey, life is too short. Another great idea, I'm going to use the original base, though this too needs a little work. My trusty super glue and mini foil should do the trick here. Yep, that pole looks okay. I think we'll get away with it. And with a bit more glue, we can stick this guy together. Add some dirt to the base and give the whole thing a prime. That looks pretty good, so there's nothing left to do now apart from go on holiday. So this is what summer in England looks like. Torrential rain, local flooding, and plenty of excuses to stay indoors. Joyous. But of course I brought my paints and models along. This is the original paint I bought with a model. I wish I could say it was like a fine wine and aged well. I wish. But once I removed the dry internal layer that clung on like a face hugger, it sort of was. There's something weirdly satisfying about this. We can start with a base layer, and this old paint goes on pretty smooth. It's actually not too bad. Give the whole model a good covering. For this cloak, I was recently reading one of the Horus Heresy books, and it talked about the fur having an iron colour. I take that to be red, so I'm going to add a little bit of red along with the browns here. With the armour and cloak blocked in, we can start work on the rest of the colours. This includes the dreaded yellow. I find contrast paint works pretty well for guns. Slight change of plan here. I want my parapets to stand out more, so let's go with silver. Blackline in some of the details, and while we're at it, add a bit of colour to the base. Hey, I wonder how that weather's doing. Back to the painting then. With all the base coats in place, we can start on the layers. I'm using a mix of old and new paint for the grey. I love Space Marines, I'm just not that good at painting them. I think it's a blending of all the large areas. I suppose really I need to spend a bit more time. But with so many cool models to paint, I do struggle to dedicate a lot of hours to just one mini. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. But I did take a little bit more time with this one, and I think it's worth the effort. So we're using the lighter greys now and blending these back into the darker base shade, or base colour, the darker base colour. I'm just going around now and picking out a few of the edges using some edge highlighting. Dry brush to the rescue. This always works well for fur, or metal, or wood, or quite a lot of stuff really. I've always followed the base wash layer style of painting, but I think the trick is to miss out the wash step. It just seems to darken everything down. So this time I'm going to lay off the washes and not coat it with Reikland flesh, but instead use it a bit more sparingly. The homeworld of a Space Marine is a place called Fenris. Think of a North Pole on steroids. So I wanted to add a bit of snow. Luckily Games Workshop have this snow effect paste. Less is certainly more with this stuff. And now, just for final steps, adding some transfers, thank you Leviathan box set, black rim the base, and take a look at the final reveal.